Maria Branyas Morera, known to the world of science as Subject M116, died on August 19, 2024 at the age of 117. Not surprisingly, she has been the subject of considerable interest and investigation. Of course, everyone wants to live to 117, don't they? And so we want to know what her secret was. So what did the investigations find? Let's take a look. Hi, I'm Dave Brown. Welcome to the Dementia Monster channel. Following the death of Ms. Morera, the most notable evaluation of her story was published in the journal Cell Reports Medicine. What were the takeaways? Well, 2 were that she stayed away from toxic people and she ate a lot of yogurt. Apparently, a lot of yogurt. Yogurt is, of course, good for the gut microbiome. That's the economy of bacteria and archaea in your gut that are increasingly found to somehow regulate what goes on in your brain and other parts of your body. When your gut microbiome is healthy, the rest of your body is likely to be healthy. If it's not healthy, well, you may have problems, especially in your brain. We've said in our blog that what's good for the gut is good for the brain. Quoting from the research paper, researchers said that they performed a high-throughput multiomics study of the world's oldest living person, interrogating her genome, transcriptome, metabolome, proteome, microbiome, and epigenome, comparing the results with larger matched cohorts. Take that, you skeptics. Maria was actually born in the United States to Spanish parents, but her family returned to Spain when she was 8, where she grew up and lived out her life. Today we think of Spain as a peaceful place, but it would have been racked by a bloody civil war, 2 world wars, the Spanish flu, and then a terribly repressive government during the first third of her life. Ernest Hemingway and John Donne warn us to remember for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for thee. Not surprisingly, the findings of the Cell Report study focused on both genetics and lifestyle. She allowed doctors to collect samples of her blood, saliva, urine, and stool, and these were studied. This provided insights on aspects of her health, notably the health of her gut microbiome. The researchers observed that she had genetics that favored a long life. Her lifestyle was what you would expect for someone who aged well. She was socially active, but she says not with toxic people. She didn't smoke, she didn't drink, and she got regular exercise. But I'm not sure she was doing jumping jacks all the way to the end. Regarding her diet, the researchers pointed out that she ate a lot of yogurt. They thought that the yogurt reduced inflammation, which helped extend her life. In Catalonia, where her family originated and where she lived, the life expectancy for women is 86 years. She sure beat that. One thing that surprised researchers was the very short length of her telomeres. Telomeres are regions on the ends of chromosomes that shorten as you age. They protect the chromosomes, but they also shorten with each generation of cells as you age, and they may be associated with your lifespan. Some research has gone into the hope that by preventing the telomeres from shortening, the folks that want to live to 117 and beyond can extend their lives. This finding suggests that's a false hope, so I'm not sure what all this means for the folks that want to live to 117. The researchers made this graphic to outline their findings. On the left are 6 elements of their findings that would characterize someone much younger than she was, while on the right are 3 elements of their findings that would characterize someone older, like someone more than 80. The first of the 6 that we associate with someone younger, much younger, are a protective genome. She had DNA and other mechanisms of heredity that promoted a long life. Then she had a favorable cardiometabolic profile. This comes from eating right and getting exercise. After that, they said she had only low-grade inflammation. This is where the yogurt comes in, but I'm sure there were other factors in her diet that contributed to this. Also, she had an efficient immune response. She could resist infection well and had no autoimmune diseases. Consistent with what we spent a lot of time on in our blog, she had a beneficial microbiome. In other words, she had a healthy economy of bacteria and archaea in her gut. And then they said she had a decelerated epigenetic clock. This is a tool scientists and researchers use to measure someone's age based on the maturity of their genome. If you want to know more about it, there's a link in the show notes. In the list of elements characteristic of older people she displayed, she had advanced telomere attrition. This surprised them because they thought longer telomeres would have been involved in extending her years. After that, they listed clonal homotopoiosis mutations. This is a poorly understood deterioration of the reproduction of blood cells that's often associated with aging, and she had evidence of it consistent with her years. And lastly, they discussed age-associated B cells. B cells are white blood cells that produce antibodies. Age-associated B cells are a distinct population of these cells that appear in older people, although chemotherapy and other forces can prompt their formation. Now that's all very interesting. But back in 2016, I was told that if I would keep up my lifestyle changes, I could expect to live to be 85. And the way I feel today, I might go a little beyond that. That's good enough for me. So thanks for watching. I hope you find this kind of thing as interesting as I do. There are links to more information on this study and some of the more complicated stuff in the show notes below. We also have links to our book, Beating the Dementia Monster, and to our blog. On the blog, we have more than 550 articles on how to beat the dementia monster. Thanks, and have a great day.